Cinta Sacro. I'm from Touchdown. I'm 5th year college na in UP. And today I'm going to be teaching basic Google Sheets. So the first part of my class, this is the automatic Gantt chart that FinOps last sem was currently using. It works like this. You put in a date, let's say Jan. Okay, so this Gantt chart runs from Feb to May, Feb to June pala. So you put in a date, let's say Feb 15. Feb 15, and then you put in an end date. Let's say Feb 25. It will automatically color in the blocks without you having to do it manually. To create your Gantt chart, first you create the calendar part, which is this top row, row number 4. You input the first date, let's say Jan 25. Specifically, I think 2021. The problem with this, as you see compared to this, it's the whole date. They inputted the whole date, Jan 25, 2021. So what you're gonna do is format this to show only the date. So format, number, then you scroll down, more formats, more date and time formats. Okay. Then in this window, you can choose how you want the date to appear. So I want it to show only the date. I'll delete this month entry, I'll delete the year. And then I prefer the date to have, so for Feb 5, let's say I want it to have a 0. Okay, then apply. Yay, simple as that. Then next, dates in Excel, they're treated like numbers. So you can do, for the next cell, equals +1, and it should display the day after there, Jan 26. So next, you'll want to copy this to the entire row. Okay, so if I were to do it normally, copy the formula, and then Command-Shift, if you press right, Command-Shift-Right, it will take you all the way to the end. Then you can paste it. The problem is something happened with the cells that these middle lines went missing. So if you want to retain the formula, you can do it a different way. You copy the date, then Command-Shift-Right again, right-click, paste special, paste formula only. And so you retain those middle lines. So that's the first part. That's the calendar top row, and you're finished. So tama naman, Jan ends Jan 31, Feb starts Feb 1, and then goes all the way until June. So for the start and end dates here, let's put a test. So Jan, let's say Jan 29. It recognizes naman that it's a date. Jan 1, month, date, year. That's a default for sheets. But I wanted to display the day. So like what day is Jan 29? So I go back to format. Format number, more formats, more date and time formats. And then, so this is fine. Month, I'll just add leading 0 here. And then I want to put the date in parentheses, open parentheses, day. Then you can change this day here, day as abbreviation, and then close parentheses. Okay, there. So we have Jan 29 Friday. And then to apply this, paint format, and then I paint it here. So if I put in Feb 6, it will follow that same formatting. Okay, so that's it for the start and end date. Super simple. Okay, now for the colored cells. This one's a little harder. So first you select, we're going to do an example with the uppermost left, the upper leftmost cell, but then later on, you're going to apply this formatting to the rest of the cells in the Gantt chart boxes. Okay, so format, conditional formatting. Basically, what conditional formatting does is you format certain cells based on when they meet certain conditions. For example, if I'm doing a balance sheet, I want all positive values to be green or all negative values to be red. So things like that. And then, so I'll start with applying it to range F5. So here you can see, apply to range F5 first. I'll skip over the format rules for now. But then you choose your resulting format. Let's say I want it red. I want it red when the dates apply. And then to get the Gantt chart, you go to Format Rules, Format Cells If, and then we use Custom Formula. So basically what Custom Formula does is you input a formula, and if the formula is true, then the formatting will apply. The cells will become red. And so the custom formula for a Gantt chart is, I'll type it first and then I will explain. So and F4 greater than equal to D5, comma, F4 less than or equal to E5. So what this formula is saying, and it's a logical operator that returns true if both inputs are true. This is like Philo 1 stuff. Now, you can see I have two inputs separated by a comma. If these are both true, then the whole formula will be true. And then, okay, so for the individual, they call it arguments, the individual arguments. When I say F4 is greater than or equal to D5, I said that dates in Excel are treated like numbers. So if the date is on or after, it's greater than. If the date is on or before, it's less than or equal to. So when I say F4 is greater than D5, I want this date to be after D5, the start date. And then when I say F4 is less than or equal to E5, I want this date to be on or before the end date. And that's the condition for coloring the cell red. So this cell, it applies to E5. Let's change it to Jan 25. There. So now that the condition is satisfied, Jan 25 is on or after the start date and on or before the end date. And that's why it's red. So to apply to the whole Gantt chart, so I changed this range, F5 to EY, that's the last cell, 30. You can verify this one later. And then, okay, so there's a problem. The problem here naman is with fixing the rows. Okay, so in this end formula, basically when the custom formula moves, the cells that are applied to it will move with it. So if I'm applying it to F5, if I suddenly move to F6, it will start considering this, and then it will start considering, instead of the ones directly left and right to it, these ones. But then we don't want that to happen. So when I want the target cell to be fixed to this row, row 4. So in the custom formula, I put the $sign before row 4 to fix it to that row. And then after that, I want to be fixed to columns D and E. So I'll want to fix column D and column E. There you go. Now it's fixed. Okay, so Jan 25 is correct naman. Jan 25 to Feb 6 is colored. And then, so it will work, let's say, Jan 31 to, let's say, March 1. There. And that's your Gantt chart. That's it for the first lesson. So the next part, I'm going to be creating an order summary sheet, which is super helpful for organizing like large tables of data. Let's say when you're receiving orders or when you're receiving responses through a Google form. So what I'll be teaching in this one is COUNTIF or COUNTIFs, also SUMIF or SUMIFs, just super helpful, especially for accounting. First, the COUNTIF. What does it do? COUNTIF basically allows you to count certain cells, as in 1 cell, 2, 3, regardless of the amounts that are typed in the cell. It allows you to count it based on certain conditions. The syntax for that is COUNTIF, and then it's going to be range and criterion, which I'll explain. For example, if you take a look at this order sheet here, you see a list of order numbers, date of order, city, first name, last name, amount paid, and then whether they paid or not, and even payment channel. So to do that, to check, let's say first, how many orders are paid? You put COUNTIF. Then you select the range. Go to this sheet, and then highlight the entire column of the range you want counted. So since this is whether orders are paid or not, I'll be looking at this column, column G. So you can click the first cell, and then if you type colon and then the name of the column, it will go all the way till the bottom. Then after the range, you input the criterion. I want paid to be paid, so Y. When you're typing text, the syntax of Excel makes you have to put quotation marks. So quotation marks Y, then enter. There you go. So 42 orders have been paid out of, I believe this is 50. So next, you're asking how many orders were paid through GCash. This time, you're going to be looking at the payment channel. Anyway, those who haven't paid don't have a payment channel, so it's all right to just select the entire column. Okay, page na lang there. And then I wanted to say GCash. This isn't case sensitive, by the way. Okay, there. 11 orders were paid for GCash. So next naman, same thing. You count sales based on this time instead of single criteria, multiple criteria. So how many orders were number 1 placed and number 2 paid for in January? Okay, and then I'm going to go to orders again and I will select paid. The first range. So COUNTIFs, the syntax is COUNTIFs, open parenthesis, range 1, criterion 1, and then comma, range 2, comma, criterion 2. So your range 1 is the paid column. You want it to say why. Your range 2 this time is the date. You want it to be in January. So these dates range from Jan 2021 to March 2021. So the syntax for typing dates in a COUNTIF formula, start again with the open quotation mark. And then you want it on or before, which is less than or equal to. And then the syntax is MMDDYY. So 2 digits each. So that would be Jan 31, 2021. There. So 16 orders were placed and paid for in Jan. So to do that example again, how many of the Feb orders were placed in Los Angeles? Go back to the order sheet. Or, okay, I'll teach you how to type it manually. When you want to call another sheet, simply type the name of the sheet. I want orders. Then exclamation point. The city column, I think it's column C. So column C until the end of column C. You just type column C. There. And then so it turned orange. So that means it properly called something in another sheet. I want this to be Los Angeles. So next naman, Feb. Feb is in between Jan and March. So you can't do what you did for Jan. Now you just call everything before a certain date. So the criterion for Feb is on or after Feb 1 and on or before Feb 2. COUNTIFs can take, I think, up to like infinite range criterion pairs. So you just have to do that in pairs. Date of order. I want the entire column B. And I want it, okay, let's start with Feb 1. I want it to be after Feb 1. There you go. Then same for Feb 28. This time, less than or equal to Feb 28. Something went wrong here. This should be here. Okay, there you go. 5 orders. So that's it for COUNTIFs. Basically, you can count a cell based on multiple criterion as long as you always mind that they should be in pairs. It's range, then criteria, range, criteria, range, criteria. So next naman, SUMIF. This one, it's similar to COUNTIF, except you apply it when you actually want to add the values in the cell. For example, you're counting money. That's like the easiest application of it. So total income, the first example. The syntax naman for SUMIF is, first, you input the range that you want evaluated. So the one I want evaluated in this case is paid. I want paid to be Y for total income. I want paid to be Y. Very similar to the first example. Then what's unique for SUMRange, you have to add an extra parameter, which is the column you want added. Amount paid. Then when you press enter there, okay, this is the total income. It skipped over those who haven't paid when paid is N. And then if I want this to look like money, format, number, it's saved here because I use it a lot. But then you can actually go more formats. It usually doesn't appear peso. It isn't as common. So more currencies. So 50K. Next naman, another example for SUMIF. Accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is money you're supposed to be collecting, but it isn't with you yet. So people who've, let's say, ordered and then they're required to pay, but you don't have the money on hand yet, which means they're going to pay. So this time, you're going to look at paid and they haven't paid, but you still want to add up the value that they owe you. Okay. There you go. You're expecting 6,000 pesos before the end of December, before the end of March, let's say. Okay, so that's it for SUMIF. SUMIF is single range, single criterion, and then column to sum. So SUMIFs naman is you can add values in a column based on multiple criteria. So for example, total amounts collected in March. The first criteria is paid has to be Y. And the second criteria is the date has to be March. So on or after March 1. Some ifs. So first, let's go with the paid. So you want paid to be Y. Then next, you want date of order. Since March is the last month in this data set, you can just do one criterion after March 1. So greater than, because after. There you go. Oh no, why did it end? Okay, so I put a second criterion, but then this is needed. So some ifs, basically. Oh, okay. So some ifs, the syntax is, if you notice in some if singular, the column you want added, F is the amount column, it comes last. But for some if, you have to put it first. So some if is some range, they call it some range, amount paid, then date after March 1, date before March 31. So that's how it goes for some if. I made a mistake pala kanina. Alright. So, okay. So sorry. So I'll do this example na. Maayos. Okay, some ifs. So the first argument is some range, which is amount paid. Second criteria is date. And I want this to be total New York sales. So some ifs. F2 to the whole of F. Then New York is column C. And I want it to say New York. There. So that's your total New York sales. Okay. So let's do one more example. Total GCash, BPI income. Total BPI income, let's say, for the city of New York. So some ifs. The first is the column you want added, so amount paid. Next is you want your payment channel to be BPI. Finally, you want your city to be New York. There. So that's your total income for BPI in New York. So that's all for some ifs. So basically, the way some ifs works is it will only add it when all these criterion are satisfied. It's like an AND logical operator. It will only apply it if everything in here is true. So if even one of these are wrong, it's not going to be counted. So here, so based on this format is kind of like a question and answer. It's intuitive. Let's say I'm asking how many orders are paid, how many orders were paid for GCash. If you want to put this in a summary, you can just take these questions, then apply them in a sort of summarized table form. So here, summary. Then you can do summary based on the data set. You can do summary 3 ways. First, by month. All the orders in January. You can verify these naman. All the orders in Feb. And then you can do, so the orders column follows COUNTIF. The sales column naman follows SUMIF. So you can do it by month. You can also do it by city. You can also do it by payment channel. Orders placed and sales. So using the SUMIF and COUNTIF formula, you can get all sorts of useful information. Like out of a super kalat-looking data set, you can, let's say, average order size, which is how much your customers are willing to pay in a single purchase. So let's say your sales are 24K and your orders are 29. But then let's compare it to here. Sales of 11K, but you only have 8 orders. So when it's BDO, parang customers are willing to pay more. Or when it's BPI, your customers are paying less, yung 9K over 10K na. This naman ay super simple basics lang here, but then this is the VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP is very useful for when you want to scan a data set and then you want it to return certain values. So for example, in this case, usually you choose a parameter which is unique. In this case, the order number. You're sure there won't be repeat order numbers because every order number is unique. It's less hassle than choosing to search by first name. People can have the same first name, or even last name. People can have the same last name. Or city, because for sure there's going to be more than one orders per city. So I'll show you muna how it works. Let's say I input order number 4. It will return to me the name of the person who ordered 4th, which is correct naman. Or let's say order number 14. There, different person, different city, and then whether they've paid or not. Order number 7. Okay. There, similar, different person. Okay, so the formula for VLOOKUP is here. So I want to search up the first name of order number 7. The formula for that is VLOOKUP, and then I input the cell where I'm putting my search key, which is right here to the left. The next argument is the entire table I want searched. So it can't be a single column or it will return an error. The last argument in VLOOKUP is called the index. The index is counted like this. Index is basically the column you're looking for. So in this case, I'm looking for first name, which is column D. But I can't type column D. It's not going to recognize it. Instead, I'll type what's called an index. Index is counted like this. If this is your whole table, this is column 1, index 1, index 2, index 3. So first name is index 4. Now when you press enter, there you go, first name. So let's delete this. So again, VLOOKUP, I want it to be this cell, then the entire table, and then index number, this is last name. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Index number 5. There. So city naman, VLOOKUP, 32. Table. And then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, don't forget the comma. And then whether they've paid. So VLOOKUP. Search key. Then table. And then index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there, that's it for VLOOKUP. Very basic, very simple. But this one has a lot of applications for sure. Thanks for watching my masterclass. Shout out to FinOps, I guess. I've been FinOps twice and then it taught me a lot, and also all of my finance team. And then that's all, guys. Subscribe to J Master's YouTube channel. Lots of stuff. See you.